Yo, what's good guys, but I'm Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys my single back wing flex close run scheme. We're only going to be going over the run plays in today's video, but if you want to see a gameplay with passing plays or just maybe the passing plays in a separate practice mode video, let me know down below and I can definitely go ahead and bring that for you guys. Of course, if this video does well, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel down below as well for more daily Madden content. But yeah, we're in the wing flex close. I like this the best out of the Las Vegas Raiders offensive playbook, which is what I'm currently in. You can also run it out of Cincinnati. It's in Green Bay. It is in the Rams. I think this is the best one because you have really the whole package of running plays and passing plays. It has every play that you would really need out of this. And of course, you have the audibling factor to audible to some of the best run plays in the game as well, which is only going to help the formation. Now, we're going to be running this again with a good running back mix in. Get a good running back, someone who can break tackles for you, fall forward. Eric Dickersons of the world, CJ2Ks of the world will work. Jonathan Taylors of the world as well. As far as the audibles go, again, these aren't the true audibles of which you would, of course, be running in a real game, but for video's sake, we have all the run plays that I'm going to talk about. In addition, there is another run play, which is going to be your inside zone split, which you actually can't see because my face cam is covering it, but that is another run. Pretty much the same as the zone weak, you just have a pulling tight end, so a little bit worse in my opinion. But let's go ahead and start out with our halfback dive, and we're just going to be going up against a heavy run defense, 3-4 odd. Now taking a look at the formation, we're going to have two tight ends on this side, two wide receivers on the other side, so it's kind of a similar thing to deuce close. That's what I see a lot of comparisons on. It, of course, is going to be a little bit different because of the fact that your tight ends are on the same side and your receivers are also on the same side, whereas deuce close is a symmetrical look. Now, the reason that a lot of people don't go to under center is because of protection reasons. This formation, there should be no issues because you actually have the option to block at most 8 people, similar to the deuce close formation, which is actually more than things like gun bunch and trips tight end. So when we get to the passing plays, people setting pressure shouldn't be too big of an issue. But yeah, we'll start out with this dive, and of course, just going to start out by just running the ball regularly, get to the line, press that A button, snap the ball, and you see we end up picking up around 10 plus yards before contact there. Just again, straight up the gut. This time we go to the right side and it's 15 yards, dang near before contact. So, I mean, this play is really, really difficult to defend, and especially with all these runs. Here you see bad stick work, but we can cut it back to the left in situations. We can cut it to the right. You can also sometimes go ahead and actually bounce this completely outside if you were able to, kind of like we did right there. Make a couple guys miss, and of course it's going to be helpful for you. But, I mean, this run's really good. Another thing you can do, sometimes just flipping the run will also change the way that the blocks develop. So we flip the run, and it can just change the way that the running angle, maybe you're now a little bit further to the left-hand side, but it definitely can actually have an impact. This is, again, before we even do motion. Now, your motion is definitely going to be ideal. It's definitely going to help you out. And a couple of different ways. Now, you actually can't motion Jamar Chase. That's something you want to mention. But you can motion Higgins out and motion snap him. And you can motion him over to the right, which will help for stretch. With the tight ends, you can motion Sample to the right. You can't motion Uzama to the right, but you can motion him across. My favorite way to run this dive is to motion Drew Sample over. You can either snap him right about there to kind of create a wham block where he's going to pull over. But you notice he's a little bit early there, so what do we want to do to get better timing on that? What you're going to do is motion over Sample. I like to kind of wait a little bit longer, snap him right about there. For some reason, we're glitched, so I couldn't do it, but that's ideally what you would want to do. And, of course, we have a pretty bad line, so we are getting shedded. But let's show what I meant to do by the motion. So you motion him over, you kind of snap the ball right there, and you see he immediately pulls on that linebacker, and you are off to the races. So if they are in defensive formations like 3-3-5 wide, in this case 3-4 odd, you will notice, and wide and 3-4 odd are kind of similar on how everybody's stacked up. You will notice that Lorenzo Carter a lot of times does get free. Jamar Chase, again, sometimes he'll block on the second level. You will see in situations where he might block Lorenzo Carter, it might have to involve IDing the mic, but you notice that now Drew Sample's going to immediately take him out of the play, and look at that. Everybody blocked on the second level, or on the at least front level. The front seven's at least blocked, and we still have T. Higgins running down the field. And obviously it could be better. I don't really know if there's a way to get him to block Lorenzo Carter. I think he's just going to do that every time, but I mean, you see just really good blocks. And as long as he doesn't have an inside stuff or anything, now if he does have inside stuff, all you really do to counteract that is just going to be to double team the inside stuff like we do here. And now he's double teamed, but you see the blocks still really good. So the nose tackle actually got double teamed. And then, of course, we split off that double team. They started blocking the linebackers, and we actually take that one to the crib. So really good example there. But let's move on to some of our other runs. And I like to dive the stretch the best, which is why I'm going to spend more time on these two runs. These toss, the zone weak are cool. Personally, I like the stretch a little bit better and the dive. Now, you can flip the stretch similar to what we did with the halfback dive. Of course, generally what you're doing with stretch is just reading the box, which side has numbers, and it's going to be the right side in this case because on the left side we have the extra safety that is pulled down right about here. And, of course, that's going to, since we kind of have a symmetrical formation with two receiving threats on the right, two receiving threats on the left, we're probably just going to hand it off over here and pick up yards. Now we can definitely motion and create some better matchups. So if we wanted to run stretch to the left side, we can motion him over. You see nobody's going to shadow with that tight end, and then you can run your stretch here. Bad stick work, but you saw that there was definitely a lane open for us over on that side. So that is certainly an option you can do. If someone does happen to shadow, if it's man coverage, you can motion this guy over, and this will prevent anybody from moving over. And you notice how we actually motion him over. The defense kind of shifts. That won't happen if they're base aligned, but if you're playing a lower level guy, it can easily just open up room over here, and you notice that that was exactly the case. So it's just using motion in this formation is generally to create better run matchups, run fits. The next thing you can do is go ahead and motion T. Higgins across the formation. We will use this for passing plays, but now we get it for running plays. And look at the way that it opened up the right side, especially in comparison to what happened on that first run where there was really no space over on that side. Now you go ahead motion, and you saw it just opened up a lot of space over there to where we can cut it up the middle here. Even with bag stick work, we pick up around 7 yards, 5 yards before contact, and just really good. If you wanted to run it stock, you could, of course, just flip it and go. Bad stick work there, but there is an opening over on that side. We'll run it again. And now hopefully we'll get 3. For whatever reason, I don't know why Jamar Chase is picking him up. We should have T. Higgins picking him up. The blocking is kind of inconsistent, I will say. See if T. Higgins picks him up now. But we get the right blocks there, able to cut through the gap. So just read it. Generally, if they have auto flip on and they're running nickel, the slot corner will be on this left-hand side. So that will a lot of times have you run to this right. If he's running in a baseline press style defense where that outside corner, James Bradbury, would be further out to the right and down, what you can do is you can motion over a guy like Drew Sample and just kind of run it like this. And he can either like help you cut it inside, or he should just pick up the corner. I'm not sure exactly why we didn't do that. Maybe it was the motion snap, but that's an easy way to pick up guys. Again, we can't motion over Uzama, but something you can do that I like to do is disguise this. So you can kind of disguise this and then run the stretch to this side. If you snap him earlier, you're definitely going to want to cut the stretch completely inside the way that we did there. But let's say you motion him completely over. And again, I like doing this, but you can run the stretch to the left, or you can confuse him by running the stretch to the right, bring his user over, and then you can like still pick him up. So pretend that linebacker was his user. He would now be far on the left side, and that would give us like a free lane to pick up 10 yards before contact. And you can do the same thing with CJ Uzama as well, but just confusing him with the stretch, cutting him back inside here, and you see picking up yet another almost first down. So that's something that I like to do a ton, just deceiving, and especially in a formation like this, you're giving a lot of the same looks. So everything looks the same, but then you just flip the run here, you switch the pass up. So just confusing stuff for the defense to deal with. The next play is going to be your halfback toss. You're going to have a pulling guard, Quentin Spain, over here. So you do want to be a little bit patient or cut it directly up the numbers, kind of running north and south, because he is going to be slower. So if you can, you want to cut it up there. This run's hit or miss, I would say. It depends on the formation, but if you are able to get outside, it can work. Once again, you can flip this run as well, and you can still use some motion as in addition to the toss. So now we motion him over. Certain things like that will happen where if someone gets free, it's going to be a big loss, but if you are able to kind of squeak past him the way that we were almost able to there, it definitely can create for some mismatches. So here you see able to kind of cut it up the middle. We did break a tackle, but if we were able to get past that guy, which there would have been kind of a 50-50 shot, we would have picked up a big gain. You notice the motion I used there with Drew Sample. I kind of motion him like this, where he actually moves over to that same side and helps us out a little bit. And for whatever reason, Jonah Williams is also pulling kind of. That could be because of the motion. Let's try motioning him over, but waiting a little bit like this. And now you see he's going to kind of help out with a double team, which is probably your best bet as far as blocking is concerned. So with the toss, you do kind of got to make it obvious. Running it stock is not going to be the best. Showing it what it looks like flipped. And again, a lot of times you're just going to try and cut it up the middle, because if you get to the boundary, there's just a lot of guys that can take that away. So cutting up the middle is usually your best bet, in my opinion, unless you're able to motion someone over, just get complete numbers. And again, these guys won't necessarily shadow, so you can run over here. If you're able to outrun that guy, you'll pick up a big gain. Just pay attention to the blocks, because they do develop in different ways. But let's move into our last play, which is going to be the zone weak. This is just going to be a solid run that if he's sitting back in coverage, you want to kind of let your blockers get upfield. This is a nice slow handoff to let you kind of do that. It's just a solid play. For whatever reason, zone weaks do pretty well against a lot of run defenses that I've noticed. For whatever reason, I'll be able to, and this happened a lot in Madden 21, Madden 20, in this year as well. He'll be running I form, kill me with dive stretch. I finally stop it. I'll consistently stop his dive and stretch. And then I'll just run this weird zone weak, halfback blast. Who knows what it is? And all of a sudden, his blockers are super far down the field, and like I just cannot stop it. So it does well against gap shoot run defenses, I feel like, a lot. The blocks, of course, do develop in different ways, so you can cut it out to the left. You can also use motion for this. Motion is certainly going to help. So another motion that I didn't mention was, let's say you're running stretch, you flip it, then you can actually motion T across and run the stretch to the left. So this would be a really good way to do it. Jonah Williams holds that block, Jamar Chase blocks the corner upfield, and you're getting in for 6 every time. You do the same thing with the zone. Another thing you can do is, let's say if he's baseline press cover 2, you can actually go ahead and motion T. Higgins out, motion snap him to kind of guarantee that he's going to block that corner the way that he did. Now we got clogged up the middle, but you notice T. Higgins did his job there perfectly, which is exactly what you want. Again, you can flip it to the right as well, and since we don't have any pulling tight ends or anything, there's not really much to worry about. Whereas with the inside zone split, you notice that I don't even know if you would be able to flip it. Probably not, because you do have the particular tight end pulling. So if you were running to the right, you can definitely go ahead and motion over T. Higgins and run it to either side, and it would work pretty well. It's not going to be as big play potential as a stretch would necessarily, but you should be able to pick up some solid, decent gains. Going back to some of this motion, you can go with this, and he would kind of act as your inside zone split. So he would go ahead and kind of wham that weak side guy who we've been facing all game, Lorenzo Carter. Or you could wait a little bit longer. And again, all this changes. So you could also lab it. If you want to get further to the outside, wait a little bit, which is the same case for stretch and toss. But that's going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.